So when I say blood sugar levels, what come to mind? Really the white fluffy stuff, right? That's what we're used to. But what if I were to tell you that all carbohydrates actually include fruits, vegetables, legumes, tubers, and all grains? So when we talk about carbohydrates, there's two basic types of carbohydrates. We have simple carbs and we have complex carbs, which you've probably heard of before. In a simple carb, there's only one or two little sugar molecules stuck together, and they enter into the bloodstream very quickly. Think of it this way: when you eat a chocolate bar, you have hundreds and thousands of sugars that all enter into your bloodstream at the same time, and that creates a spike in the blood sugar levels. Well, you have something called insulin, and insulin is kind of like a little transporter, or a taxi car. And what it does is it drives over to the bloodstream and picks up the sugar, and then takes that sugar over to the cell and rings the doorbell of the cell and says, "Hey, I've got some sugar for you." And the cell says, "Come on in!" And so the sugar enters it, and the body uses that sugar for energy. However, if you have so much sugar in your bloodstream that it can't deal with it, the taxi cab has to phone all his taxi buddies. And now you have 100 sugars all going over to the bloodstream all at the same time, picking up all of this sugar and driving it all over the cell and ringing the doorbell like crazy. Well, your cell can't respond to that, and so it says, "No, take it somewhere else." Guess where it takes you? To your fat cells. So the next time you eat a big meal and you get that crazy energy spike and you're like, "Wee, really excited," but then you have that crash afterwards and you're like, "Ugh, it's 3 o'clock, can I just go home now?" That is when you're gaining weight. You should be worried more about your blood sugar levels and your carbohydrate in terms of this white fluffy stuff than you should be about the nasty fats or the calorie content of your diet. Okay, so fats kind of got a bad rap, but really there's a bunch of different types of fats that we need to be aware of when we're eating fats. And I've drawn out a little bit about the different chemical structures that we have in fats. And when we think of fats, we typically think of what's actually called saturated fat. And what that means is that there's a single bond between each of the carbon atoms within the chain. As you can see that they're actually straight, so that means when it goes into your body, these straight chains will actually stack up on top of each other. And these are the ones that cause the most problems that we have in our diet because they can clog your arteries and they're really hard to remove. However, you do need some saturated fats in your diet because they are made from hormones and other cell structures. You need that saturated fat. However, the healthiest of all healthy fats happen to be the monounsaturated fatty acids. And these ones have one double bond found somewhere within the chain. And as you can see, it actually causes a bend in the chain. And this means that the fats are no longer able to actually stack. What they end up doing is creating like a fluid-like consistency. So things like olive oil or avocado oil, these all have this kind of fluid texture at room temperature. So the MUFAs, for short, there's actually 5 of them, and they're really cool. So we have dark chocolate, avocados, oils, nuts and seeds, and olives. The MUFAs are touted this way as being the healthiest because they can actually help reduce body fat. So what they did was an MRI study where they took a group of overweight people, put them in an MRI, and figured out how much visceral fat they had. So the fat that surrounds the organs, the nasty stuff that squeezes the organs and is the most dangerous. What they did then was they put them on a MUFA diet. So for 6 months, these people consumed 5 MUFAs a day. So 1 serving of either avocado, oils, nuts and seeds, olives, or dark chocolate. What they found after 6 months was a 42% reduction in belly fat. So if you've noticed that you started to kind of get that beer belly, this is actually caused by a lack of healthy fats in the diet. And by including these ones, you can actually help reduce that. Now, if anyone were to tell me that I could reduce my belly fat by 42% in 6 months, simply by eating dark chocolate, I'd say sign me up. Now, the other fat that we have here is a polyunsaturated fat. And this means that there are at least 2 double bonds found within the chain. And they're named based on where they fall on the carbon. So this one is an omega-3, named because it falls on the 3rd last carbon of the chain. Now you've heard of omega-3s and omega-6s before. These are the PUFAs. Omega-3s help reduce inflammation in the body, and they're really good for us. The standard American diet, what most of us consume, we actually only consume about 1 omega-3 to every 40 omega-6s. The correct ratio is actually 1 to 2. So that means we need to eat a lot more omega-3s to bring that ratio closer together. Omega-3s come in the form of fish, flax, walnuts, chia seeds, and hemp seeds. Now your omega-6s, on the other hand, these actually increase inflammation. And since we know a lot of diseases today are caused by systemic inflammation in the body, things like rheumatoid arthritis or allergies, we want to decrease the omega-6s that we're consuming. So omega-6s you typically are going to find in corn, animals that eat corn, so a part of our industrial industry, and other things like human breast milk will also have omega-6s. So try and increase your omega-3s and increase the monounsaturated fatty acids in your diet, and you will be helping yourself out to eating a healthier life. So who has heard of an antioxidant? This is a fancy word that we've heard a lot about in the media, but what does it actually mean? Well, let me tell you a little bit of a story to explain how antioxidants and free radicals work. Basically, free radicals are unpaired electrons. So think of electrons like a nice happy little couple. They always travel in pairs or together. And one day they're sitting in a restaurant and in walks the evil mistress, the free radical. And the free radical tears the couple apart and takes one of the partners and goes away with them. And now we have a very unhappy single electron that needs to find itself a little mate. And so it goes and tears apart another couple. And this chain reaction is going to keep taking place until in walks our hero, the antioxidant. Antioxidants are essentially a molecule that has a free electron that it can donate without itself becoming reactive. So it stops the chain reaction from taking place. Now, where are these lovely antioxidants that we need to consume? Well, they're conveniently packaged in colorful fruits and vegetables. So the antioxidant is actually what gives fruits and vegetables its pigment. And the nice part is that there's 7 different colors in nature that we can consume. And by consuming different colors each day, you're making sure that you're getting different types of antioxidants. So if we look at our lovely vegetables here that we've got, we see that there's a green one. These ones have B vitamins in it, which help give us tons and tons of energy. We've also got tomatoes. These have lycopene, and lycopene helps protect us against breast and prostate cancers. What's really cool about tomatoes as well is the more you cook them, the higher the antioxidant count becomes. A cooked tomato actually has 4 times the amount of antioxidants than a raw tomato does. So it's always good to make sure that you're cooking some of your vegetables, but also eating some of them raw, varying it up. Carrots have the orange pigment, which is beta-carotene, and this is really good for our eyesight and gives us vitamin A. So as you can see, there's tons of different colors out there in nature. So the next time you're looking down at your plate, make sure that you've got at least 5 different colors each day that you're consuming. If your plate tends to be golden brown, you need to rethink it and maybe learn a little bit more about nutrition and food sciences. So make sure that you're eating your antioxidants and you will have happy skin and happy DNA and happy brain because free radicals unfortunately damage all of these different parts of our bodies.